My mother told everyone my son wasn't really my son on a Saturday evening, in the middle of my sister's birthday dinner. There were 11 people around the table. My wife, Claire, sat beside me, while my 17-year-old son, Noah, was across from us, arguing with his aunt about college. Everything was normal, until my mother put down her glass. I think everyone here deserves to know that Noah isn't really Daniel's son. Nobody moved. I stared at her. What did you just say? She looked directly at me. I said Noah isn't really your son. Claire went completely pale. Noah looked at me. Dad? I stood up. Mom, stop. Why? Because this isn't the place. Actually, it's the perfect place. Everyone deserves to know the truth. You've known the truth for 17 years. She smiled. And so have you. Noah frowned. What truth? I looked at him. Nothing you need to worry about. My mother immediately said, ask your father how you were conceived. The room went silent. Noah slowly looked at Claire. Then back at me. You knew? Claire whispered. Noah, you both knew. I swallowed. Yes. How long? Since before you were born. His face changed. You knew I wasn't your biological son? Yes. He stared at me. And you never told me? We wanted to. When? When you were older. He laughed bitterly. I'm 17. I know. You've had 17 years. I know. He stood up. So everyone knew except me. Noah, did Grandma know? I looked at my mother. Yes. He shook his head. I need to go. I followed him outside. Noah, wait. He turned around. Why didn't you tell me? I had no good answer. Because we were afraid. Afraid of what? That you'd think differently about us. He stared at me. Why would I? I couldn't answer. He opened the car door, then stopped. Dad? Yeah? Is there anything else you haven't told me? The question hit me harder than anything else. No. He looked into my eyes. Are you sure? Yes. He got into the car and drove away with my sister. I stood there until Claire came outside. She took my hand. We have to tell him everything. I know. No more secrets. I know. She looked at me. What do you think your mother meant? I shook my head. I don't know. But I did know one thing. My mother had known about the donor from the beginning. She knew Noah wasn't biologically mine. She had spent 17 years calling him her grandson. So why had she suddenly decided to destroy him with the truth? That night, Noah didn't come home. Claire and I sat in the kitchen long after midnight. Finally, she whispered, we should have told him years ago. Yes, we kept waiting for the right time. There was never going to be a right time. She looked at me. Do you remember when we started the fertility treatment? I remember. You were terrified. I thought I'd never feel like his father. Claire smiled sadly. But you did. I looked toward the stairs. The first time I held him, I didn't think about DNA. What did you think? I smiled. I thought, that's my boy. Claire reached across the table. He still is. I nodded. Then I noticed the old cabinet beside us. Our fertility records were still inside. I hadn't opened them in years. I pulled out the folder. Claire immediately looked nervous. What are you doing? I want to know exactly what my mother knew. I opened the folder. There were old test results, clinic forms and appointment records. I turned one page, then another. Then I stopped. There was a handwritten note. I read it twice. Claire noticed my expression. What? I put the paper on the table. The handwriting was hers. I looked at the date. It was written months before we ever went to the fertility clinic. I slowly looked at my wife. What happened before the clinic? Claire went completely still. Daniel, what happened? She looked at the note, then back at me. I never wanted you to find that. My stomach tightened. Find what? She whispered. The reason we went to the clinic in the first place. And suddenly, I realized my mother's accusation wasn't the only secret my family had kept from me. The next morning, Claire was already sitting at the kitchen table when I came downstairs. The old note was still in front of her. I sat opposite her. You were pregnant. She looked at me. Yes. I stared at her. Why didn't you tell me? Because you weren't there. What does that mean? You had left. I remembered that period. We had been fighting constantly. I had taken a bag of clothes and stayed at my mother's house for several weeks. I called you, Claire said. I don't remember. You didn't answer. I looked down. What happened? Her eyes filled with tears. I lost the baby. I couldn't speak. When? About 2 weeks after you left. I felt something heavy settle in my chest. You never told me. I wanted to. Then why didn't you? She hesitated. Your mother came to see me. I looked up. My mother? Yes. When? 2 days after I lost the baby. What did she say? She asked if I was going to tell you. And you said? Yes. Claire wiped her eyes. She told me not to. Why? She said you were already angry with me. She said if I told you about the pregnancy, you'd blame yourself. I stared at her. And you believed her? I was devastated, Daniel. She took a breath. I didn't know what to believe. I looked at the note again. So my mother knew. Yes. About the pregnancy. Yes. About the miscarriage. Yes. And then we went to the fertility clinic. Claire nodded. That was when everything started. What do you mean? She kept telling you that your fertility results were terrible. I frowned. They were. Not as bad as she made them sound. I stared at her. What? The doctor said there was still a possibility. A possibility of what? That you could have a biological child. I felt my stomach tighten. Why didn't I know that? Claire looked away. Because by then, your mother had convinced you otherwise. I stood up. You're saying she knew? I don't know what she knew. But she told me I couldn't have children. Yes. I walked to the window. For 17 years, I'd believed that using a donor had been our only option. Now I wasn't sure. I turned back. Why didn't you tell me? Claire's voice became quiet. Because we had already chosen the donor, and you were afraid I'd change my mind. I was afraid of losing you. I stared at her. Claire, what happened to trusting me? I should have trusted you. She looked at me. But your mother made me believe that telling you would destroy everything. I sat back down. Neither of us spoke. Then my phone buzzed. It was my sister. Noah wants to see you. I stood immediately. Where is he? With me. I'll go. Claire grabbed my hand. Daniel. I looked at her. Don't make him choose sides. I won't. When I arrived, Noah was sitting outside my sister's house. He looked exhausted. I sat beside him. Hey. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Then he asked, Did Grandma know? Yes. About me? Yes. How long? Since before you were born. He looked down. Did she know you weren't my biological father? Yes. So then why did she say it like I wasn't your son? I swallowed. I don't know. He looked at me. You really don't. I know she wanted to hurt me. Why? Because she thinks your mother took me away from her. Noah frowned. That makes no sense. I know. He was quiet. Then he asked, Did Mom cheat on you? No. Are you sure? Yes. He nodded slowly. Then why does Grandma act like she did? I looked at him. Because sometimes people believe something so strongly that they stop caring whether it's true. Noah stared at the ground. Are you still my dad? The question broke me. Yes. Even though I'm not biologically yours? Especially now. He looked at me. I don't know what I'm supposed to think. You don't have to decide today. He nodded. I need time. You can have all the time you need. He stood up, then turned around. Dad. Yeah? Promise me one thing. What? No more secrets. I looked at him. I promise. He nodded and went back inside. I returned home later that afternoon. Claire was waiting for me. How was he? Angry. That's fair. He asked if you cheated. Claire closed her eyes. I knew he would. He believes you. She looked relieved. Then I pulled the old fertility records from the cabinet. Claire. She looked at me. There are 2 different test results here. She came closer. I pointed at them. This one says I had a very low chance. And the other? It says the results were inconclusive. Claire stared at the page. I've never seen that one. Neither have I. I looked at the date. The second report was dated after my mother had already told me I couldn't have children. Claire slowly looked at me. Daniel. I shook my head. My mother knew something she never told us. And for the first time, I wondered if the secret she had revealed at dinner was only the beginning. I spent the rest of the afternoon looking at the 2 fertility reports. Claire sat across from me. So what does it mean? I don't know that either. I picked up the older report. This is the one she told me about. Then I held up the second. And this one says the results were inconclusive. Claire frowned. Could the doctor have changed his mind? Maybe. But why didn't we know? That's what I want to find out. I called the clinic. After several transfers, I finally reached someone who could access the archived records. I need information about a fertility assessment from 17 years ago. She asked for my details. After a few minutes, she said, there was another person listed as an authorized contact. Who? She read the name. My mother. I closed my eyes. Was she authorized by me? I'd have to check the original paperwork. Please do. She put me on hold. When she returned, her voice had changed. There is a signed authorization. Whose signature? Yours. I looked at Claire. I never signed that. I understand, sir, but that's what's recorded. I thanked her and hung up. Claire stared at me. She had access to your records. Yes, But you never gave it to her. No. I opened the folder again. There was a copy of the authorization. I compared the signature with an old document I had signed myself. It looked almost identical. Almost. Then I noticed the date. It was a Tuesday. I remembered that Tuesday. I had been working a 12-hour shift. I couldn't have been at the clinic. I looked at Claire. I'm going to ask my mother. Daniel, I need an answer. I drove to her house. She opened the door before I knocked twice. You found the records. I stopped. How did you know? She looked at the folder in my hand. You always were curious. I held up the authorization. Did you sign this? She looked at it. I had permission. From whom? You. No, I didn't. You were confused at the time. I wasn't. She sighed. You didn't understand what the doctors were telling you. I stared at her. So you decided to handle it yourself. I was trying to protect you. From what? From making a mistake. What mistake? Staying in a marriage that was making you miserable. I felt my anger rise. Claire was my wife. She wasn't right for you. You don't get to decide that. I was your mother. And she was my family. My mother looked away. Then I asked, did you know Claire was pregnant before the fertility treatment? Yes. Did you know she lost the baby? Yes. Did you know my fertility results weren't conclusive? She went silent. Mom? Finally she said, yes. My stomach tightened. You knew. I was trying to help. You told me I couldn't have children. I told you what I believed. No. I shook my head. You told me what you wanted me to believe. She looked at me. I thought if you believed you couldn't have children, you'd stop chasing something that wasn't going to happen. And the donor. You and Claire agreed to it, but you knew it wasn't necessarily our only option. She didn't answer. That was answer enough. I stepped back. What else did you hide? She looked at me. Nothing. I didn't believe her. Then she said, you should ask Claire about the night Noah was born. My stomach dropped. What happened that night? My mother shook her head. Ask your wife. Why? Because she never told you. I stared at her. You're lying. Am I? I left without another word. When I got home, Claire was in the kitchen. She saw my face. What happened? My mother told me to ask you about the night Noah was born. Claire went completely still. I noticed immediately. You know what she means. She looked down. Daniel, what happened? I didn't want to tell you. Why? Because I was afraid you'd hate me. I felt my chest tighten. Hate you for what? She took a shaky breath. Your mother came to the hospital. I froze. When? The night before Noah was born. What did she want? Claire looked at me. She told me something about your fertility. What? That the doctors weren't certain you were infertile. I stared at her. And what did she want you to do with that information? Claire's eyes filled with tears. She told me not to tell you. Why? Because she said you'd blame me. For what? For choosing the donor. I shook my head. But we chose that together. I know. Then why would she say that? Claire looked away. Because she wanted me to believe that if you ever found out, you'd leave me. I couldn't speak. Then she whispered, she made me promise to keep one more thing from you. I stared at her. What? Claire looked directly into my eyes. She told me she knew who the donor was. And suddenly, I understood why my mother had waited 17 years. She hadn't just known our secret. She had been involved in it. I stared at Claire. You knew who the donor was. She nodded slowly. What did your mother tell you? She said the donor was someone she knew. Who? I don't know. You don't know? She never gave me a name. I stood up. Then why would she say that? Claire shook her head. She wanted me scared. Of what? That you would eventually find out. I walked to the window. Did she tell you the donor was someone I knew? Yes. My stomach tightened. Who? She wouldn't say. I turned around. Claire, if she knew who the donor was, then why didn't she tell me? Because she wanted to keep it over you. What does that mean? She told me that if you ever questioned the donor, she could prove that I had hidden something from you. I stared at her. So she was building a story. Yes, a story where you were lying to me. Claire nodded. And where Noah was the proof. I felt sick. What else did she say that night? Claire hesitated. She told me that one day you would ask who the donor was. And? She said I should never tell you. Why? Because she said the truth would destroy our family. I laughed bitterly. She destroyed it herself. Claire looked at me. I know. I sat down. Did you believe her? For a while. Why? Because she said the truth would destroy our family. I laughed bitterly. She destroyed it herself. Claire looked at me. I know. I sat down. Did you believe her? For a while. Why? Because she'd already convinced me that you might leave. I looked at her. She made both of us afraid. Yes! My phone suddenly rang. It was my sister. I answered. Hello. Daniel, are you with Claire? Yes. There's something I need to tell you. What? I found some old paperwork at Mom's house. My heart tightened. What kind of paperwork? I don't know exactly. Can you send it to me? I already took pictures. A few seconds later, my phone buzzed. I opened the first image. It was an old clinic form. I recognized my name. Then I saw my mother's handwriting in the margin. Donor selection approved. I looked at Claire. Did you ever see this? She shook her head. No. I opened the next picture. Another document. This one had a donor identification number. My sister sent another message. There's a name on the back. I opened the image. There was a handwritten name. I read it once. Then again. My face went cold. Claire saw my expression. What? I turned the phone toward her. She stared at the name. No. You know him. She slowly nodded. Yes. Who is he? Claire looked at me. The man your mother accused me of cheating with. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. I felt like the room had stopped moving. You're saying the donor was him? I don't know. But you recognize the name. Yes. Why would his name be on the donor paperwork? I don't know. I stood up. We need to find out. Claire grabbed my arm. Daniel, wait. What? There's something you don't understand. What? She looked terrified. When your mother accused me of being with him, she paused. I wasn't. I believe you, but she didn't invent his name. I stared at her. What do you mean? He really did contact me. My stomach dropped. When? Before the fertility treatment. Why? I don't know. What did he want? Claire looked down. He said your mother had asked him to speak to me. I felt my blood run cold. What did he say? He told me that if I loved you, I needed to leave you. I stared at her. Why? He said your mother believed I was destroying your life. And you never told me? I was scared. I couldn't believe how many times I'd heard that word. Then my phone buzzed again. Another message from my sister. Daniel, there's one more page. I opened it. At the bottom was my mother's signature. Above it was a sentence that made my stomach drop. Daniel must never know that the donor was personally selected. I looked at Claire, then at the document again. My mother hadn't just known about the donor, she had personally chosen him. And suddenly the question wasn't whether Noah was my biological son. It was why my mother had gone to such extraordinary lengths to control who his biological father would be. I couldn't stop looking at the document. Daniel must never know that the donor was personally selected. I looked at Claire. Did you know my mother chose him? No. Are you sure? Yes. Then why was his name on the paperwork? I don't know. I called my sister. Where did you find this? In one of Mom's old boxes. Is there anything else? A pause. Yes. What? I found a letter. Read it. She hesitated. It says Mom contacted the donor directly. My stomach dropped. When? Before Noah was born. I hung up. Claire was staring at me. She contacted him herself. Claire nodded slowly. But why him? I didn't know. Then my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I answered. Hello? A man's voice said. Daniel. Yes. This is Mark. I recognized the name immediately. My mother's friend. The man she had once accused Claire of being involved with. What do you want? I think you deserve to know what happened. I looked at Claire. Did my mother contact you 17 years ago? Yes. About the donor? There was silence. Yes. Claire covered her mouth. I tightened my grip on the phone. Were you the donor? No, I exhaled. Then why did she contact you? Because she wanted me to help her. With what? She wanted me to convince Claire to leave you. My stomach tightened. Why? She believed you were going to choose Claire over your mother. I closed my eyes. What did you tell her? That I wouldn't do it. Then why is your name on the paperwork? Another pause. Because I helped deliver the paperwork to the clinic. I looked at Claire. What? She gave me the documents. Why? She said she couldn't go herself. I felt sick. So you knew about the donor? Yes. Who was it? I don't know. You expect me to believe that. I never saw the identity. I sat down. Then why did my mother choose the donor? Mark sighed. Because she wanted someone with a specific medical history. What history? She wanted someone who looked good on paper. I frowned. What does that mean? She said she wanted the child to have the best possible chance. That sounded almost reasonable, until he added, she also wanted the donor to have no connection to you. I looked at Claire. But he did. No, Mark said. Your mother wanted someone completely unrelated to your family. I froze. Then whose name is on the paperwork? Mark was silent. I don't know. I ended the call. Claire stared at me. So the name isn't the donor. Apparently not. Then why did Mom write it there? I looked at the document. I don't know. My sister called again. This time her voice was trembling. Daniel, I found another letter. What does it say? It says Mom changed the donor selection. I felt my stomach drop. From what? I don't know. Read it. My sister took a breath. It says, the original donor is no longer acceptable. Daniel must never know why. I looked at Claire. Original donor? She whispered. What does that mean? I didn't know. Then my sister continued. There's a date. What date? The day before Noah was born. I went completely still. That can't be right. It is. I looked at Claire. The donor was changed the day before Noah was born. Claire's face went pale. That means... She stopped. What? She shook her head. I don't know. My phone buzzed. A message from my mother. You finally found it. I stared at the screen. Then another message appeared. Now ask Claire why the original donor was rejected. I slowly looked at my wife. She was already crying. Daniel. What? I didn't reject him. Then who did? She whispered. Your mother. And suddenly I realized the final secret wasn't about who Noah's biological father was. It was about why my mother had changed the donor at the last possible moment. I looked at Claire. Why did my mother change the donor? Claire shook her head. I don't know. You said she rejected the original one. I know what she told me. What did she tell you? That the first donor had a medical issue. And you believed her? At the time, yes. I pulled out my phone and called my mother. She answered immediately. You found the documents. Yes. Then you know. No. I know you changed the donor. I don't know why. She was silent. Mom? Finally she said, because the original donor was someone you knew. My stomach tightened. Who? I can't tell you. You've spent 17 years deciding what I was allowed to know. I was protecting you. No, not anymore, she sighed. The original donor was Mark. I looked at Claire. She went completely pale. Mark? Yes. The man you accused Claire of cheating with. Yes. I couldn't speak. My mother continued. He wasn't actually the biological father. What? He was only the donor you initially considered. I closed my eyes. So why did you change it? Because I realized Claire had spoken to him. That doesn't mean anything. I thought she had feelings for him. She didn't. I didn't know that. You never even asked. I was afraid. I almost laughed. Again? She went silent. Then I asked, who was the final donor? I don't know. You chose him. Yes. And you don't know? The clinic handled it. I looked at Claire. My mother continued. I only knew the profile. Then how do you know Noah isn't biologically mine? Because I knew you weren't the donor. I froze. What? You weren't biologically related to the final donor. That doesn't answer anything. She sighed. The final donor was anonymous. I felt confused. Then what were you hiding? My mother didn't answer. I suddenly understood. You never cared who the biological father was. No. You cared about making me believe I had no choice. Yes. And you used Noah to keep me tied to Claire. She whispered. Yes. I hung up. Claire was crying. I'm sorry. I shook my head. This isn't your fault. I should have told you. Yes. She nodded. But I was afraid. I took her hand. We were both afraid. Later that evening, Noah came downstairs. He looked at both of us. Did you find the truth? I nodded. Some of it. Who is my biological father? We don't know. He looked surprised. You don't? No. He thought for a moment. Do you want to find out? I smiled. Yes. Why? Because if you ever want to know, I want to be able to tell you. He nodded. Then he asked, does it change who my dad is? I looked directly at him. No. He smiled. Good. He came over and hugged me. It wasn't long, but it was enough. My mother had spent 17 years believing that biology was something she could use to control my family. She was wrong. Noah wasn't less of my son because we didn't share DNA. He was my son because I had chosen to be his father, and I had chosen him every day for 17 years. Before going upstairs, Noah stopped. Dad? Yeah? Can I still call Grandma someday? I looked at him. If you want to? Even after everything? Yes. But you won't tell me what to do? No. He nodded. Okay. He went upstairs. Claire sat beside me. You really mean that? Yes. What? That he gets to decide. She smiled. For the first time, we're letting him decide. I nodded. For 17 years, we had kept secrets because we thought we were protecting our son. But the truth was simpler. We had been protecting ourselves. And when my mother finally exposed our biggest secret, she expected it to destroy our family. Instead, it forced us to stop hiding from each other. My mother was right about one thing. Noah wasn't my biological son, but she was wrong about what that meant. Because being a father was never about blood. It was about staying. And I had stayed. I still would.